Hey everyone, so we have all heard about the tragedy that occurred in Pittsburgh yesterday, and since the social media site Gab is now facing scrutiny and may be shut down, I wanted to mention how this is a huge mistake and it all ties into Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and how frankly, they are partly to blame for this massacre. Now, it should be obvious that the root cause of this tragedy was fundamentally because of an insane, psychopathic, paranoid nutcase. That much is true, but what role does the behavior of Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube have in all of this? Well, it's no secret at this point that they have all been engaging in more and more censorship. Now, what happens in the mind of a paranoid person who finds a conspiracy theory in absolutely everything they read about? What happens to them when you ban them and silence them? You have just confirmed all of their fears. In their head, there is this powerful Zionist cabal controlling everything, working to silence them. Now, when you actually do silence them and cut them off from interacting with some more possibly stable people, you have just verified their conspiracy theories in their own head. Now what happens? There will be other platforms that develop, like Gab, that say, hey, come over here, freedom of speech is highly valued, and you will not be banned or silenced no matter what. Now, people with what you might consider more moderate or mainstream political views, they have no reason to go to these pro-free speech sites, because Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube never really hassle them. So hopefully you can see where I'm going with this. This creates a situation where these extreme people with extreme views congregate and feed off of one another, and will no longer, at the very least, be exposed to more sane ideas and less violent people. Not that I'm saying a more logical person would be able to change the minds of these people. They may at least be able to sow a small seed of doubt to the point where these conspiratorial people may no longer be so steadfast in their beliefs that they would resort to violence. But with censorship, there is no chance for that to happen. So what Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube have done, in a way, is they have created somewhat of a prison of ideas. These crazy ideas are not allowed to reach a certain audience. Well, guess what happens? As I've said before, they are then relegated to their own little dark corner on the internet, and they are left there to fester and bloat and eventually boil over in the form of extreme paranoid violence, which again, in their head, is justified because they have been silenced by some unnamed Zionist cabal or whatever. Ironically, it's their act of censorship that actually fuels the flames of fanaticism. YouTube actually experienced this firsthand, if you remember the vegan lady who shot YouTube employees. Her complaints were that she was being censored and demonetized, and after being demonetized, her views went down, and this led her to believe that YouTube was purposefully sabotaging her account, which by all accounts was probably true. Now, what happens to her then? She feels she has no other recourse, and that leads to this extremely unstable person resorting to violence as the only thing they feel they have left. So I am not saying that Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube are the core crux of the reason anything like this happens, but their censorship of weird or extreme viewpoints certainly plays a part in squeezing these already fragile minds, and they may just be the final straw that breaks that camel's back. But that's it for now. Like and subscribe if you have just a moment, and thank you very much.